I'm going to show you the setup for the universal cage with a lower floor, and that we're going to set it up for use with mice or for a rat with a head mount. So you have the cage itself, and you have the lower floor. If you have the upper floor, it's a little bit different because it's slightly bigger and it has a rim here on the edge. So this flat platter one is the one that goes down in the bottom. I find it a little bit easier to take the door off while I'm putting the floor in place. The only sort of trick is that because there's hardware in this cage, if you try to put it straight down right from the start, you're gonna get caught on the hardware, so you want to put it at sort of at an angle, and then you can adjust it so that it's flat. And then you're just gonna press down until it's nice and secure in place. Okay? You'll know you've gotten it in right because there is a little bit of a marker here. So this is not for hardware for this cage, for this floor rather, but because this cage can also be used for metabolic collections in rats, so when you put the grid floor in, that's the hardware that holds it in place. But here you can just use it as a landmark to know that you're more or less in the right spot. You can see that that's nice and secure as long as you've pressed it down into place. And when you're done at the end, you can just pop it out. Okay, so we've got the floor in place. Again, we're setting this up for use with either a mouse or with a rat that has a head mount. So that means that on the food and water hoppers, which are these slide-in plates here, we are not going to use the open hopper because they can put their head through that and get things caught. Instead, you're just going to use these block-off plates. Just for future knowledge and flexibility of the cage, you can use either one here. Alright, so I can put this in, or I can put this in to both of those locations. Keep in mind that on new cages, this hardware is pretty tight, so it'll loosen up over time. It's a bit easy, but the first couple of times it might be a little bit of a chore to get it in there. All right, next is the water bottle. Again, because we're doing the head mount studies and mice, we're going to put this here so that the water bottle is going into the cage. Okay. The final piece is you have the longer tether with this setup, right? So this tether can go all the way around, but the one that I'm showing that's on the system right now is actually the one that we prefer for rats. Some people do use it for mice, but generally we recommend that if you're doing mice on this cage and this floor length, that you use this mouse tether. So you can see that it's similar in length, and you can also see that the tether connector itself is quite different. So why are they different? Well, we used to use this one for all animals, but we found that rats were sometimes powerful, so if they wanted to, they could actually put quite a bend in it and damage the tether pretty quickly. But for mice, it's still great because you have this much lighter, smaller, easier to handle in the small mouse connector for your collar or harness or hook or however you're connecting to the animal. For the rat, it's clearly a much larger piece. The tension goes here, so that wire is a little bit harder to bend than on the previous, and clearly that's a pretty large grabber for the harness or collar or however you're connecting to the animal. So either one is technically okay, but we do prefer the mouse. One for mice and the rat one for rats. All right, last piece is the door goes on. It just slides down in place. And then your final is the lid, but you usually do not put that until you actually have your animal in and connected, at which time this slides right over the top. And I like to position it so that those hooks leave the door open, so if I had any kind of emergency, I could still easily open the door without the lid getting in the way. So just to make it clear what I mean, if that's turned here, then I don't know.